I'm so glad you've joined us. I'm really excited to do this because this is the first time I'm interviewing one of my clients who've done my program. And I especially was excited about this one because Pallavi has been such a star. I feel like I want to cry right now. She's gone from being a client to a dear friend. And you've probably seen her posts in our group. She's one of the admin, and she has such amazing insights that I really wanted to interview her and find out, so you can find out more about her experience. So welcome, Pallavi. I'm so glad you're here and joining me. So I thought maybe start with, if you could tell everybody a little bit about your background, like your pain story and what brought you to, how did you find me like that?
Yeah. I think I got into chronic pain about 5.5 years ago, like in a more or less constant state of chronic pain. Before that, I experienced back pain and stuff like that, but I would always still feel healthy and normal and just have episodes of pain maybe. And then like more than 5 years ago, I got into a really bad episode of back pain and it just didn't go away. Like I was lying down for a few days. I got an emergency doctor and all kinds of stuff. And afterwards, I just had a lot of trouble with my back, like on different parts, but I also got into a hospital with 3 bulging discs and stuff like that, and did a lot of physical therapy and like everything you can do for back pain. And at some point, I got really fed up with all the people fiddling around with my body and stopped it all. And at some point, the back thing got a bit better or more stable. And that was the time, I guess, when I realized that I still was in constant pain. Like it had shifted from the acute back stuff to general pain in my muscles, like a burning pain all over the body. And of course, I started to Google and do stuff. And at some point I realized it was very much like fibromyalgia, like the symptoms were just coming in. I also had trouble sleeping and I had migraines and headaches and all kinds of things. So I found a pretty good doctor who at least was aware that it's a chronic stress disease, like that it's stress related. And he did a very thorough checkup, which helped me at that time because I was very scared. I mean, I was like 37 or something when it started and I couldn't do my normal stuff, my normal life. So it was nice to find a doctor who at least took it serious and put a lot of effort in helping me. And he put me on a lot of supplements and all kinds of things. And generally on this idea that I have to reduce my stress, but I think we will talk more about that later. And last year at some point I then found the TMS work by Dr. Sano, read a bit about it and got into a few groups, and I guess that's where I found you or you found me. I was complaining about all the journaling and digging into old emotions because it didn't feel very helpful for me. And that's when you
thank you. What would you say is the strangest things you tried to fix your pain?
I don't know. I mean, I've done strange things before that. All kinds of healing stuff and healing codes and tapping. Let me think. I can't think of anything I would like say it's especially
in public,
but it all like
right. And what kind of things did it stop you from doing? Like what did your life look like in terms of activities?
I just was very restricted in a very ritual kind of day-to-day life because I felt very scared in my body, and sometimes I still do, but obviously it has changed. My body felt very fragile, like it always felt like it was falling apart, like it was not the pain, but the pain, like I would have trouble sleeping and I would feel stiff in the morning, and then I would have to move a bit and take a hot shower and then rest again, and then I would be okay for 2 or 3 hours normally, and then I would have to rest again. And every time when I tried to do something more or to stay up a bit more, it was not just pain, it just felt like I would have the next bulging disc the next moment. So it just felt scary, like I couldn't hold myself up, like I didn't have the strength. And a lot of the pain is in the upper body, so that's the part you always have to hold up when you
yeah.
walking around. And I had extreme problems with doing anything like working in the kitchen or stuff like that, like where you stand and have to work with your arms. It would hurt a lot. I couldn't even go out for dinner. I couldn't lay in the arms of my husband because I had to lie down like perfectly straight and
Wow.
and sit in special chairs. And I wouldn't go on holidays. I didn't ride a bike for ages. That's when my body felt so fragile that I didn't even dare to run for a few meters, like if I wanted to get over a red light or something. Now I'm running a lot. We can talk about that later. So it was pretty intense.
Right. So what do you think made you ready for something different?
I've been looking for something different for a long time, I guess, and I've kind of been always open to spiritual stuff and read a lot about psychology and spiritual things. I guess I first needed to really look into the physical things because I really thought it was something wrong with my body because it feels very, very strange when the body's suddenly hurting. And I guess at some point I checked everything out there was to check on that level.
Right, yeah.
I just was fed up with it. Like I felt like, okay, there's nothing new to find. So,
right. Yeah.
Maybe with the TMS thing, like when I heard the first healing stories, like when I first heard that there are actually people with fibromyalgia who got well, I knew there has to be something else about it, like something new to talk about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I found you right in a group. I don't remember now. I must have messaged something. So we started to work together, and I was so happy you showed up, and we did our 10-hour, sessions together. And so can you talk a little bit about what it was like for you? Because I know sometimes I have a really hard time because my pain just went away and I didn't work on it. So can you share with people what it was like for you coming across these ideas while still being in pain, and what was that experience like?
I remember that I wrote something in the TMS group about all this journaling, and you commented like something like, what if that's the problem? Like all the things. And I just went like, oh, okay. And I think I read then like we kind of emailed, and in the days before we started the program, which was pretty fast, I guess, I read your book, and in reading your book and reading what you've been going through, I kind of felt like I trusted you before even knowing you. Like it was very helpful to know a bit about your story to just trust you with the stuff I was going through. And when we started the program, it was funny because the first evening, I think it was the last evening of the year. It was New Year's Eve.
Oh, right. Yeah. I remember now. Yeah.
And I just remember like being totally blank in my head after the session. Like my husband asked me, what were you talking about? And I was like, I have no idea. And I spent New Year's Eve on my couch with my 2 cats alone. Very contented with that. And I just remember noticing or somehow realizing, wow, there's something really new that you're telling me there, or something new for me. And I really liked that because I was so fed up with going around in circles in this whole concept and idea about stress and how to reduce it and what to do about it and to find out where it's coming from. It was just like, it was just enough. And so I remember like being really amazed by what we were talking about, and I kind of pretty quickly got some kind of feeling for it, like some glimpse of a quiet space before all that battling in my mind. And I got hooked into it. Like I just went up to the there was no choice in stopping to listen or something like that. But it took a while for me to until I saw some changes in my symptoms. Like what happened pretty quickly is that I suffered less from it. Like because I would still suffer when I would go into a flare up or something, but like in my general day-to-day life, I got these glimpses that the suffering doesn't really come from the symptoms, but from all the thinking about it, and especially from the meaning I made about it. Like, I think we talked about it a lot. Like for the first month, I felt like with every new insight I had, it was always something around guilt or failure. Like for me, being sick was, in my mind, it was a lot about failing, especially because I knew it's a stress disease, and I did all this meditation stuff and techniques like from all my life, and I'm trained as a meditation practitioner, blah blah blah. So really, really much like failing to me to get a stress disease. Like it was.
The pressure,
And, I guess then for me it changed like bit by bit. First I didn't suffer so much with my normal day-to-day pain, and I also got less scared of it, and I suddenly could be more active and do more stuff. And also like learning about the brain science really helped, like what we talked about, what I learned from the TMS stuff also to, it's like slowly there was some disconnection happening, that like pain didn't automatically mean there's something wrong or scary going on with my body. And like for me, it goes step by step, like it comes onto a deeper level or something. It's not like I hear it once and then it's gone, I'm still scared. Some change happens, and then it's like you get from this vicious cycle into like an upward spiral, because you can be more active. And sometimes I started to see gaps in my symptoms where I just felt pain-free or with a very low pain level for a while, and something like that.
And I remember after you'd finished the program, you went to Jamaica. Now, people should know, Pallavi lives in Germany. So could you have imagined getting on how long was that flight? Like, what was it, 14 hours or something? You flew to Miami? I remember when you were doing that, I was like, wow. She was like, before she wasn't like going anywhere, or like couldn't run, like you said, run. And now she's sitting on an airplane for 14 hours. That amazed me. What was that like?
It was super strange, because I actually booked it a half a year before. So even though I was in this space of I can't do anything, but I guess this was like shortly before I came across TMS and then across the 3 principles, and I was just in a space where I just was so fed up with the whole thing that I just decided I have to do something. And like going to Jamaica was a big dream for me. I've been there once 25 years ago, and I always wanted to go back. So I wasn't really, I didn't know how to do it actually, or to do it. Luckily by then I knew you. And it wasn't so scary then. Like I remember 2 days before I was flying, or the evening before, maybe we were texting because I was freaking out a bit. Because always during these times when I know I have to be fit the next day, I get very scared about the symptoms. Actually, I don't experience it now anymore so much, but it was a big thing. Like I would start monitoring my body even more, and get more scared and get more tense. But what I did notice is that it's easier for me to do stuff like that alone. Like I'm more scared when I do it with my husband or with anybody together, because there's something when I do it on my own where I can just follow my own rhythm and be okay with that. So the flight was, it was exhausting and everything, but it all went
for anybody,
and there was also a funny thing, because after the 11-hour flight, when I landed in Miami, my flight was late, and so I missed my connection. And so for 2 hours, I ran across the airport in Miami, which is really, really big, like kilometers, because I needed to find a way to get another flight. And that was like after I've been up for 14 hours. Like,
right.
And I didn't even notice during that time. And actually I was crying because I was exhausted and was scared and stuff. But I managed, and my body was okay. And at some point I found a hotel room. It was all good. So these were all things like even where I could in hindsight see that all the rules I made up, they are not really true. Like sometimes it just I can do more than I think. And then yeah, there were so many little incidences where I started to see that it's made up, like that the consistency of the symptoms and the solidness of it is just made up in my story about it. And
Right.
yeah, and with Jamaica, it was very cool just to realize, even with symptoms and even with pain and even with fear, I can still do stuff. I think that's a very important thing for me too, that I don't have to wait to live until I'm symptom free or something like that.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things I love watching people get well, is like their world starts to open up, and you start seeing how it was only made small by the stories we tell ourselves. Like I had a whole pain story, like, you know, when my back would start hurting, you know, I'd grab the hot water bottle and calling the chiropractor, and I just knew that I'd be on the floor for a couple of days, you know, while waiting for it to pass, and then going, like, crawling my way to the chiropractor and crawling home. And I felt, like you said, my body felt weak, you know. And I remember when I first realized my pain had gone away, I kind of checked in with my back, and I thought, I actually feel stronger now than I ever have since I can remember, since I was a teenager, maybe even before that. And I haven't done anything to my body. All that's happened is my thinking had shifted. So yeah, I love that story. And I love watching how people's, you know, some people get creative projects, some people are traveling, some people are dancing. You know, it's amazing how it really enables people's worlds to open up, you know. So I love that story. So if you're still having any symptoms now, any flare-ups, what's your experience now? How do you deal with it? What would that be look like?
I think there's a very practical level of dealing with it, like in a way that if I'm really hurting, I just rest, and I also might cancel something I wanted to do. Like I don't fight with it. I don't agree with this pushing through attitude, because it only makes me scared. And I don't need it to get more active. Like I have times where I really feel like doing stuff. I'm going running every morning, and I really enjoy that. And like, but when I get into the space where I'm really hurting or exhausted, and I'm scared, or just feel like don't feel safe in my body, I normally, on a practical level, I'm just gentle with myself, and I do what I can do, and the other I rest, and I just take care of myself, and I might take a hot bath or a hot shower. That's always helping for me, and stuff like that. I think what's changed a lot is that normally with the flare-up, I would go into a very overbusy mind about it, just being very frustrated with it and feeling like I've done something wrong and need to find out what I've done wrong and what I could do differently, and what's wrong with me that I'm not getting better, and blah blah. And also I often felt like kind of punished or something, like life wants to tell me, oh, you're not seeing something, now you have to get it, and I don't know, like all kinds of stuff going on. And what I noticed during the last, it's now 8 months or something, right, that it slowly shifted. Like in the beginning, I might have a flare up and I would be okay for the first day, like relax with it, and then I would still get frustrated and freaked out. And I would also get very frustrated with the thing. It feels so impossible to stop monitoring it when it's hurting so bad. Like it's just like, from the mind, for the logical mind, it's like, how can you look away from it when it's hurting so bad? But at some point I realized, no, it's not that it's hurting so bad. It's really still the meaning I give it. Yeah,
wow. Yeah.
The meaning makes it impossible to look away from it. And so just, I don't know, I think by learning or getting deeper into this understanding, like I really love listening to 3P stuff and reading books and things. I'm seeing a lot of new things that have nothing to do with my pain, but they still help with the pain, because I'm seeing stuff about my mind and about my thinking. And like we talked about it, I feel often that my thinking is not so interesting anymore.
Right. Yeah, I've lost interest in so much of my thinking. I used to think, you know, that's what Saturday afternoon was for, was to overthink all your life and your problems. And like, I got better things to do now with my time, with my thoughts, my energy. It's like, it's just not interesting to me anymore.
Yeah.
Just a benefit. Yeah.
And that's amazing to see that really even the most sticky stuff, like where you can never imagine that that might fall away, it really just falls away on its own. And like now the last 1 or 2 times I had a flare up, I was like, I was just fine. I mean, it's not nice to have pain.
Right.
Feeling so much peace. I was lying on my balcony, it was warm, and I just realized I feel exactly the same actually as without pain. Like I would
Wow.
get moments where I'm annoyed and I would feel peace the rest of the time because sometimes I just feel peaceful, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I just really felt that my life is just as full and fulfilling and nice with symptoms or without. I mean, I don't want to belittle it. It's not nice if you're restricted by it and blah blah. But for me, it was really freeing to see this, that it doesn't diminish my capacity to be happy or peaceful or something.
Right. Wow.
Like right now, 2 days ago, I think I had the first time this experience that some kind of symptom came on that normally leads into a pain flare up, like how I experienced it during the last years. And so I rested a bit because I was really hurting, and then I just got so bored with the whole thing. Like, oh my God, I've done this so many times. It was really funny. So I got up and made myself some ice cream. I posted about it.
Yeah.
But really, I didn't even have the idea of it will go away now by not caring about it or whatever. It just really didn't care. I wanted to have an ice cream and watch some Netflix. And I mean, it sounds like a small thing, but I really never had this before, that it's like this intense and then just leaves. So I feel like what's happening during the last month, it's just becoming more transient, you know? Like when we were talking in the beginning, I always told you it's constant. The pain is constant, you know, there's no break from it. And it's so solid. And this has changed a lot during the last month.
Well, I just had this vision of it like having its fingers like in every part of your body, and it's like with this understanding, it's enabled to let go, because like, you know, when you're not holding on so tight, it's easier for it to leave.
Yeah.
And that's, I love how you described it's all coming from like this thought created experience.
Yeah.
And the more you see how, like transient, how fluid that is. And I love the ice cream story, because it's not like you didn't then go and like do something about it. It's almost the opposite. The not doing, it releases and goes away. And I've had that experience with not just with like physical stuff, but with, could be a worry about finances or the weather or you know, travel plans, anything like that. If I overthink it, then it seems to get tighter and tighter, and like, you know, weaves its way into your brain. But with this understanding, it just, what is it? It's like you said, it has no substance. The more I'm able to fall back into a quiet mind and see that and not be frightened by it, it's able to, like you said, like move on. So that is such an amazing insight. Yeah.
It's like it's just not a thing. Like this
Yeah.
thought popping up in my head, like during the last weeks, it's not a thing. It's just like a thought. It's a fluid sensation, a fleeting experience, and I just grab onto it. Like by giving all this meaning and making such a fuss about it, it's like we grab onto it, and then it gets like sticky.
Yeah, we thingify it. I love that word. I think Bob Patterson came up with that word, like to thingify things. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you wanted to share? Like anything else that you think would be helpful to people?
I guess what one thing that was like a bit like a trick to me is to even though it's kind of impossible, but when I was still in so much pain or struggling so much with the pain, what was really helpful for me is to put it on the back burner and to look for peace of mind instead, because it was something I could see that I could experience, that like I would have moments of peace of mind. And so it wasn't frustrating to look for that, but it was very frustrating to look for being pain-free, because I just didn't experience it in the beginning. And so it was kind of helpful for me to just, I don't know, to switch this thing.
Yeah, I love that, because a lot of clients come and they're, you know, understandably their desire is to be pain-free. And that's, I mean, I can't guarantee that to anybody. I don't know any doctor. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but like anybody practitioner who could. But even having that as a focus is going to produce stress. So I love what you just said about, like, rather than focusing on that, focusing on something more positive, like the peace of mind, then the healing will, like, takes care of itself.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it just, like, I could explain it to myself in that way, that peace of mind would just make sense, because it would also give my body the best ability
Yes.
to heal and to calm down.
Yeah.
But it was just like something more reachable or tangible for me than I felt like I couldn't change my physical experience. I mean, I still can't. When I have pain, I have pain, but the my experience of it's kind of in my own, I don't know, it's not in my control or my hands, but it's more transient and more, it just makes more sense to me to look in that direction. And also because I think, I mean, with TMS, it's one thing because it's stress, it's very likely to get better with calming down and to maybe go away. But there are a lot of people that have pain that might stay. I mean, I don't know about other illnesses or you know, like other things you're dealing with. And so I just think it's more helpful. And it's also really true that, yeah, pain and discomfort is part of life, you know? So it doesn't make sense to tell myself that I need it all to be gone to be free or to be okay. And
Right. Yeah. So, well, thank you, because that was, I think, I mean, I really enjoyed listening to you. So I hope our listeners and the people in the group, they've got a chance to get to know you and me a little bit better. So really, I'm so grateful to have met you and know you and now count you as a friend. And thank you for all the work you do, like helping in the group. It's a real pleasure. And I'm so, you know, I just like looking forward to you know, doing more things together. So thank you for your time. Thank you for showing up and sharing your story with us. And hopefully I'm going to post this in the group and people can ask us questions, and we'll all move forward together. So thank you. All right.
I need to thank you. I need a moment too, because I'm just so grateful that you found me in the TMS group. My God, and all that you've introduced me to and learning all this stuff. I'm so happy to be here, and I am, and also for inviting me to help in the group, because it was so good for me to be more in this conversation, and to share my stuff always helps me to see it more clearly. And I'm so happy for your support and your friendship. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, I will speak to you soon. Okay, bye.